Welcome to BitBlitz Horror, where the shadows come to life and every story sends a chill down your spine. If you enjoy spine-tingling stories and crave the thrill of the unknown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to BitBlitz Horror. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss a new tale that will keep you up at night. Now settle in, turn off the lights, and let's begin our descent into the eerie world of shadows in the mirror. Prologue. I've always believed that the most unsettling horrors are the ones that lurk just beneath the surface of ordinary life. That belief was shattered the night I encountered the shadows in the mirror. It was an ordinary January evening, cold and still, when my world began to unravel in ways I could never have imagined. Chapter 1: The Move. When I decided to leave the city, it wasn't just for a change of scenery but for a fresh start. The relentless pace, the ceaseless noise, the never-ending stream of people, it had all become too much. I found solace in the idea of small-town life, where everyone knew each other, and secrets were harder to keep. The house I purchased was an old Victorian, nestled at the end of Willow Lane in the quiet town of Ravensbrück. It stood alone, surrounded by towering oak trees whose branches seemed to whisper secrets in the wind. The house was charming in its own eerie way, with its peeling paint and ornate trim. It was the perfect blend of history and mystery, exactly what I thought I needed. The first few days were filled with unpacking and adjusting. I reveled in the silence, the kind that wasn't filled with the hum of traffic or the chatter of neighbors. Instead, it was a pure, unbroken silence that felt almost tangible. Every night, I would sit by the large, antique mirror in the hallway, reflecting on my past and contemplating my future. Chapter 2: The First Signs. It started subtly. At first, it was just a feeling of being watched. I would catch glimpses of movement in the corner of my eye, shadows that seemed to flit just beyond my vision. I dismissed them as tricks of the light, or the mind playing havoc with my nerves. But then, the occurrences became harder to ignore. Objects began to move on their own, the spoon from the kitchen drawer, the book from the shelf. At night, I would hear faint whispers, barely audible, like fragments of a forgotten conversation carried through the walls. The mirror seemed to amplify these sensations, its surface reflecting not just my image, but something else entirely. One evening, as I was getting ready for bed, I noticed something different in the mirror. Behind me, where there should have been darkness, a faint silhouette appeared. I spun around, but the room was empty. Heart pounding, I stared back at the mirror, where the shadow lingered for a moment longer before fading away. Chapter 3: Unraveling the Past. Determined to understand what was happening, I delved into the history of the house. The local library became my second home as I pored over old newspapers and town records. Ravensbrück had a history of strange occurrences and unsolved mysteries, but nothing directly linked to my house. One newspaper clipping caught my attention. It detailed a series of disappearances in the early 1900s. The last entry was about a woman named Eleanor Whitaker, who had vanished without a trace from the very house I now called home. The article mentioned rumors of a curse, though no one seemed to know the truth. Intrigued and unsettled, I decided to explore the attic the next day. The attic was a dusty, cluttered space filled with old furniture, trunks, and forgotten belongings. Among the debris, I found an old, ornate mirror much like the one in the hallway. Its frame was intricately carved with symbols I couldn't decipher, and its glass was tarnished with age. As I wiped away the dust, the mirror seemed to come alive, its surface shimmering softly. I felt an inexplicable connection to it, as if it held the key to the house's mysteries. That night, I placed the mirror in my bedroom, hoping it would somehow help me make sense of the events unfolding around me. Chapter 4: The Mirror's Secret. From the moment the mirror was in my bedroom, things escalated. The shadows in the hallway became bolder, more defined. I began to see them directly in the mirror, figures that weren't there in the room itself. They watched me with hollow eyes, their presence suffocating. Sleep became elusive as nightmares plagued me. I dreamt of Eleanor, her face contorted in fear, reaching out to me from the depths of the mirror. Each morning, I woke up drenched in sweat, the image of her fading just as I opened my eyes. Desperate for answers, I consulted with Mrs. Langley, the town's elderly librarian and unofficial historian. She listened intently as I recounted my experiences, her eyes reflecting a mixture of sympathy and concern. "There have been whispers about that mirror," she said slowly. "They say it was imported from Europe, brought here by Eleanor before her disappearance. Some believe it's a gateway, a conduit between our world and something else." I felt a chill run down my spine. A gateway? The idea seemed absurd, yet the evidence before me was undeniable. Mrs. Langley handed me an old, yellow journal. "Eleanor kept a diary," she explained. "It might shed some light on what happened." Chapter 5. Eleanor's Diary. That night, I began to read Eleanor's diary by the light of a single candle. The handwriting was delicate, elegant, but filled with anguish. April 12, 1903. The house feels different tonight. The shadows seem to move with a mind of their own. I can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched. May 5, 1903. I found an old mirror in the attic today. It's beautiful, but there's something unsettling about it. I feel as if it's calling to me, urging me to look deeper. June 23, 1903. I saw visions in the mirror, dark figures, whispering voices. They speak of a world beyond, a place where time stands still. I fear what lies beyond the glass. July 14, 1903. I can't bear it anymore. The shadows are relentless, and the whispers won't stop. I believe the mirror has become a portal, a door to another realm. I must destroy it. July 20th, 1903. I failed. The shadows are closing in, and I can feel them pulling me through the glass. If anyone finds this, beware the mirror. It holds more than just reflections. The last entry ended abruptly, leaving a void filled with unanswered questions. Eleanor had tried to destroy the mirror, but it had only made things worse. Her fate remained a mystery, and now, I feared that I might share her tragic end. Chapter 6. The Descent. With each passing day, the mirror's influence grew stronger. The shadows became more aggressive, manifesting in full form and moving independently of any light source. They followed me everywhere, their presence a constant reminder of the house's dark history. One night, as a storm raged outside, the power flickered and went out, plunging the house into darkness. Armed with only a flashlight, I made my way to the bedroom, where the mirror stood ominously on the dresser. Lightning illuminated the room intermittently, revealing the shadows that writhed and twisted within the glass. I approached the mirror, feeling an inexplicable compulsion to touch it. My hand reached out hesitantly, fingers trembling as they made contact with the cold surface. Instantly, a surge of energy coursed through me, and the room seemed to dissolve around me. I was no longer in my bedroom but standing in a dimly lit corridor, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. The walls were lined with mirrors, each reflecting twisted, distorted versions of reality. Figures moved within the reflections, their eyes empty and sorrowful. A voice echoed through the corridor, familiar yet distant. It was Eleanor's voice, pleading and desperate. "Help me!" I followed the sound, navigating the maze of mirrors. Each step felt heavy, as if the shadows were trying to hold me back. The oppressive atmosphere weighed on my chest, making it difficult to breathe. Finally, I reached a large hall where the mirrors converged into a single, massive surface. In the center stood Eleanor, her form translucent but unmistakable. Her eyes met mine, filled with pain and longing. "You must close the portal," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the howling wind outside. "Only then can we be free." Chapter 7. Confronting the Darkness. Determined to help Eleanor and whoever else was trapped, I searched for a way to close the portal. The mirrors around us began to ripple, the reflections distorting as if reacting to my presence. The shadows advanced, their forms growing more hostile, seeking to prevent me from succeeding. I grabbed Eleanor's hand, feeling her icy grip. "How do we do it?" I asked, desperation tingling in my voice. She pointed towards the central mirror. "There is a key hidden within. You must find it and perform the ritual to seal the gateway." I scanned the hall, eyes darting from one mirror to another, searching for anything that stood out. My flashlight illuminated a small, ornate box tucked beneath one of the mirrors. It was intricately carved with the same symbols as the frame of my hallway mirror. I carefully opened the box, revealing a silver key and a stack of parchment papers. The paper held the instructions for the ritual, written in Eleanor's own hand. As I read through the steps, the shadows grew more aggressive, their whispers turning into guttural growls. "Pour salt in a circle, burn the candle," the instructions read. "Recite the incantation with pure intent." I quickly gathered the materials mentioned and began setting up the ritual in the center of the hall. The shadows closed in, their presence suffocating. I could feel their malevolent energy pressing against me, trying to force me back into the mirror realm. With trembling hands, I arranged the salt, lit the candle, and began chanting the incantation. The words felt foreign on my tongue, yet somehow familiar, as if they had been ingrained in me from a past life. As I spoke, the mirrors around me shimmered, and Eleanor's form began to glow with a soft light. The shadows recoiled, their forms wavering as the ritual took effect. A powerful force emanated from the candle, pushing back the darkness and restoring balance. The central mirror began to crack, the fissures spreading rapidly as the portal closed. Eleanor reached out to me, her hand fading as the light enveloped her. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice fading with each word. With a final surge of energy, the mirror shattered, the fragments falling away like tears. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the corridor dissolved, bringing me back to my bedroom. The candle burned steadily, the salt circle intact, marking the place where the ritual had taken hold. Chapter 8: The Aftermath. The storm outside had subsided, leaving the night eerily silent. I sat on the edge of my bed, heart still racing from the ordeal. The mirror, now devoid of any supernatural presence, reflected my own image calmly. It was as if nothing had happened, yet the experience felt profoundly real. I took a deep breath, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. The whispers were gone, replaced by the gentle sounds of the night. Exhausted but relieved, I decided to write down everything that had transpired, ensuring that Eleanor's story would not be forgotten. Over the following weeks, the house returned to its former tranquility. The shadows no longer lurked in the corners, and the oppressive feeling had vanished. I felt a sense of peace, knowing that I had helped Eleanor, and whatever other souls were trapped within the mirrors find their way to the other side. Chapter 9: A Quiet Night. One crisp autumn evening, I was sitting by the fireplace, the once dreaded mirror now serving as a simple reflection of my room. The town of Ravensbrück settled into its nightly routine, the streets quiet as the stars began to twinkle in the clear sky. As I gazed into the mirror, I caught a glimpse of movement. My breath caught in my throat as I saw a faint image of Eleanor standing beside me, a soft smile gracing her translucent face. Her presence was comforting, a silent thank you for setting her free. I reached out, and slowly, her image faded, leaving only my reflection once more. A sense of closure washed over me, affirming that the nightmare was truly over. Chapter 10: Moving Forward. Months passed, and life in Ravensbrück settled into a pleasant routine. I became a part of the community, forming friendships and finding joy in the simple pleasures of small-town life. The house, once a source of fear and uncertainty, became a sanctuary of peace and tranquility. Yet, every so often, I would catch a fleeting glance in the mirror, a reminder of the shadows that once haunted me and the courage it took to confront them. These moments served as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of facing one's deepest fears. Epilogue. Looking back, the experience changed me profoundly. I learned that sometimes, the most significant battles are fought within the confines of our own minds, and that true courage lies in seeking the truth, no matter how terrifying it may be. Ravensbrück remains a quiet, unassuming town, its secrets tucked away behind closed doors and unturned pages. The house on Willow Lane stands as a beacon of history and mystery, its windows reflecting not just the present but the echoes of the past. As I sit by the mirror, now free of shadows, I understand that some stories never truly end. They linger, waiting for someone brave enough to uncover them and set them free. And in doing so, they not only bring peace to the restless spirits, but also to those who dare to listen and believe.